Dad's birthday had always been the one day of the year when nothing was allowed to go wrong. No arguments, no tension, no drama, just laughter, food, and the comfort of being a family. At least that's how it used to be. This year, everything felt different. The house was full. Relatives filled the living room, conversations overlapping, bursts of laughter rising and fading like waves. The smell of food drifted from the kitchen, warm and familiar, and in the middle of it all, Dad sat in his usual chair, smiling that same proud, gentle smile that had always made everything feel okay. I sat a little apart from the crowd, not by choice, but because I had to. My crutch pressed into the floor beside me, keeping me steady in a way my body still couldn't manage on its own. 6 months. It had been 6 months since the accident. 6 months since everything in my life had split into before and after. Before, I was the dependable one, the one everyone relied on. I woke up early, worked late, pushed myself harder than I needed to. I had plans, big ones. I was saving money, thinking about building something of my own. Dad used to point at me when talking to others, pride clear in his voice. "They'll go far," he would say. And I believed him. I truly did. Then one night, it all changed. A flash of headlights. The screech of tires. The kind of sound that doesn't leave you, even months later. The impact came before I could fully understand what was happening. I remember hitting the ground, the air leaving my lungs, my mind struggling to catch up. I tried to stand, but my leg didn't respond. It wasn't even pain at first. It was worse. It was nothing. Like that part of me had simply disappeared. The hospital became my world after that. Days blurred together, nights stretched endlessly. Doctors spoke in careful, measured tones, using words that sounded important, but never gave real answers. Fracture, nerve damage, uncertain recovery. I stopped asking questions after a while, because every answer felt like a different version of the same thing. They didn't know when or if I'd be the same again. Coming home should have felt like relief, but it didn't. The house felt different. The stairs seemed taller, the hallway longer. Even my own room didn't feel like it belonged to me anymore. But my family tried. Mom stayed close, always ready before I even asked for help. Dad didn't say much, but he was there, his presence steady and quiet. My sister at first was kind too. She helped me, sat with me, joked like nothing had changed. But slowly, something shifted. At first, it was small things. A sigh when I asked for help. A look when I moved too slowly. Then the comments started. Light at first, almost like jokes. "You're getting used to this, huh?" she said once. I laughed it off. I told myself she didn't mean anything by it, that she was just stressed. But the comments didn't stop. They grew sharper, heavier, harder to ignore. That night, everyone gathered around the table as it was time for the cake. Voices rose together in a familiar birthday song, slightly off-key but full of warmth. Dad stood up slowly, smiling as he looked at all of us. I pushed myself up too, gripping my crutch, focusing on staying steady. Every movement still took effort. Every step reminded me of what I'd lost. But I smiled anyway, for him. The candles flickered softly, their light dancing in Dad's eyes as he leaned forward. And then everything fell apart. My sister moved quickly, too quickly for me to react. Her hand shot out, grabbing my crutch and pulling it away. In an instant, my balance was gone. The world tilted, and panic surged through me as I reached out, my hand catching the edge of the table just in time. My arm trembled under the strain as I tried to stay upright. Gasps filled the room. And then her voice cut through the silence, sharp and loud. "Stop faking it, you're just leeching." The words hit harder than the fall would have. Everything froze. Conversations died. The room went completely still, every eye turning toward us. I could feel the heat rising in my face, not just from the effort of holding myself up, but from the humiliation pressing down on me. "Say it," she continued, her voice filled with anger. "Tell them how long you're planning to keep this act going." I stared at her, struggling to understand how we had reached this moment. How she had gone from sitting beside me, laughing, to standing in front of me like this. "Give it back," Dad said, his voice calm but firm. She didn't move. "You don't see it," she insisted, looking at him. Months of this. No job, no effort, just sitting around and getting sympathy. Something inside me broke then, not loudly, not dramatically, but in a quiet, final way. "You think I'd choose this?" I said. My voice wasn't loud, but in that silence, it didn't need to be. "I had plans," I continued, my grip tightening on the table. A life, things I worked for. You think I enjoy waking up like this every day? You think I like needing help just to do basic things? She hesitated for a fraction of a second, but then her expression hardened again. I think you got comfortable, she said. Those words cut deeper than anything else she had said. Before I could respond, Mom stood up. Her chair scraped against the floor, the sound sharp in the quiet room. You don't get to decide what someone else's pain looks like, she said, her voice trembling with anger. And you don't humiliate your own family like this. The tension in the room became unbearable. Dad stepped forward slowly. He reached out, took the crutch from my sister's hands, and gave it back to me. The simple act felt heavier than anything else that had happened that night. Then he looked at her. Apologize. She crossed her arms. No. The word hung in the air, stubborn and cold. For a moment, no one spoke. Then a voice from the side broke the silence. Do you even know what happened that night? Someone asked. She frowned, confused. What are you talking about? I felt my chest tighten. I hadn't told her. I hadn't told most people. They weren't driving, the voice continued. They pushed someone out of the way. A kid. The car came out of nowhere. The room seemed to shift. I swallowed hard. There wasn't time to think, I said quietly. I just moved. I could still see it if I closed my eyes. The child frozen in place. The headlights coming too fast. The instinct that took over before fear had a chance. I hadn't thought about consequences. I hadn't thought about myself at all. The impact had been meant for someone else. I took it instead. For the first time that night, my sister didn't say anything. The anger drained from her face, replaced by shock. Then something else. Something heavier. Guilt. Dad looked at both of us, his expression steady but tired. This family doesn't tear each other down, he said quietly. No matter what. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Conversations never really recovered. People left earlier than planned, their goodbyes softer, more uncertain. When the house finally grew quiet, I sat alone in the living room. My crutch rested beside me, and the silence felt heavier than the noise had. Footsteps echoed from the hallway. She stopped in the doorway, hesitant. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. I didn't know, she said finally, her voice small, almost unrecognizable. I looked at her, at the person she had been earlier that night, and the one standing here now. Yeah, I said softly. I know. She nodded but didn't come any closer. Some things don't get fixed in a single moment. Some words don't disappear just because you wish they would. The distance between us didn't vanish that night. But something shifted. Not everything, but enough. Recovery isn't just about bones healing or muscles getting stronger. It's about everything else. The way people see you, the way you see yourself, the things that break and the things that slowly, painfully come back together. It takes time. More time than anyone wants. But it happens. Step by step. And sometimes, even when you're still leaning on something to stay upright, you realize you're stronger than you were before. Not because nothing broke, but because something inside you refused to stay broken.